In addition to platform experience, what have been the most important experiences in your coaching development?
Ooh. I can think of like three major categories. One would be academic, second would be personal, third would be professional. So the academic stuff, having gone through all the education that I've gone through, allows understanding of the scientific literature, its limitations, its benefits, how to interpret it, empirical evidence, all that other sort of stuff, at a much higher level than somebody who doesn't have that training. And so we get this question all the time, like, how do I get better at reading scientific studies? And it's like, you have to go to school. And I'm not trying to silo this information or discourage people, but it's like you asked, and I'm telling you, to self-teach, the ability to interpret, apply data with no formal training.
It would be difficult.
To say the least. Yeah, so academic, huge thing. 2, personal development, just having gone through the process of training, reaching somewhere near my peak development, competing multiple times, having injuries, coming back from them, having a lot of life stress and balancing training with that, all gives me a lot more perspective. And then the professional part is super interesting because I don't think just coaching people in and of itself necessarily makes you a better coach, but coaching people who are much different than yourself as far as how they respond to training, their own personal challenges or whatever, that's been probably the most helpful from in that category. Mainly because I would otherwise just program people how I would program myself, or the programs that I like or things that I like. And finding people that are substantially different than me, either they respond to different things than me, have different challenges than I do, if I got to work with those, that stuff's been a lot more helpful as far as developing as a coach. And so, you see a lot of people who compete, or they did the running joke is I did my first meet, now I'm a powerlifting coach. And it's like, I don't know that you have enough coaching chops to actually offer a good product. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try or shouldn't coach, but just knowing the sort of limitations of your own sort of scope right now would be useful. But so that's for me, that's probably the big 3.
Yeah, I would give 2, I suppose. One is going to be similar in that going through the training process is you can't get around that. You have to go through the training process yourself and experience the ups and the downs and the setbacks and come back from the setbacks and all these sorts of things to be able to not only guide people through that, but also to empathize with them and to understand what they're going through. So I definitely know when somebody has a severe back tweak and maybe they were previously performing at a high level and now they're down to, RDLing 75 pounds or something. Yeah, I know what that feels like, and I can relate to them and have that kind of conversation and guide them back and provide the necessary reassurance. And also celebrating the wins of knowing what it feels like when somebody, lifts that all-time, plate milestone or something like that. I think that lets you connect with people kind of on a different level. Aside from that, I think going through, I agree, medical training, but more specifically than the evidence side, but more the communication skills side. This comes down to how we can talk to people and relate to people, both from a clinical standpoint, like this motivational interviewing stuff that Jordan was mentioning, at the way back yesterday morning. You guys can think back to that lecture. Those kind of skills, the ability to elicit the information you need and to reflect back in a helpful way to people, and to ask the right questions and provide the right feedback, and those kind of communication skills are probably by far, I think, the most valuable thing that I feel like I have insofar as it pertains to guiding people through the training process or the rehab process, or even when I see patients in the hospital who are going through their most vulnerable time when you just diagnose them with some horrific life-limiting disease or something like that. Those kind of communication skills are, I think, overwhelmingly the most useful, beneficial thing that I have in my arsenal when working with people.
Yeah, the motivational interviewing stuff is very, very unique to medical profession, like training to be in the medical profession. Mainly because you can learn all the techniques, but if you never get to apply them or use them and refine them
across lots and lots of different types of patients.
Lots of different types of patients and how it fits your personality. It's like, cool, well, I read the book, but I'm not really sure what to do now. And I'm like, yep, that's the problem. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
People would be like, so I just gotta go to med school to be the best coach? I'm like,
it's kind of a high standard.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I would prefer most doctors to operate up to their level of training. I would just prefer them to be, for more of them to recommend exercise to their patients. I don't know. There's not been a follow-up study that's like, oh yeah, now 20% of doctors are recommending exercise to their patients or resistance training to their patients?
I don't think it's much better.
I think it's worse, if anything. It's just less time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.